What's going on, guys? It's Kyle Carroll from MyMMAnews.com and Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. Today I'm joined by Cage Wars champion at welterweight, Jake Davis. Jake, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem, Kyle. Good to be here.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about your amateur career leading up to this point. You've defended your title at Cage Wars 37. Take us through your amateur career.
All right, so right off the bat, I'll clear that up. The titles and the defenses and whatnot. I first fought Josh Jones for the middleweight title. I won that fight, and then I shed a few pounds, and then I fought Sean Clow for a welterweight title. So it was actually two different titles, and I'll be defending the welterweight title, my first official title defense on the 15th.
Oh, so you're a champ at the Cage Wars. My apology. I didn't realize you also held the middleweight one as well.
Yeah, no problem. Glad we cleared it up.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I had no clue. That awesome though.
Thanks.
Tell us your last fight. A lot of people started booing you. We kind of talked about it briefly right after, but there's nothing wrong on your part. I thought it was a fair stoppage. You beat the heck out of the guy, and the guy couldn't defend himself. What do you kind of tell the fans your thoughts on this whole thing?
All right. Yeah, it was a little confusing afterwards. It's always a little chaotic in the cage after a fight, after a win or a loss. There's a lot of lights and a lot of noise. When the booing started, I was a little confused. I wasn't sure why they were booing. I thought maybe they were booing at the stoppage. That's what it seemed like. But, at the same time, he didn't shake my hand, so I thought maybe they were booing at that. But either way, I was upset that the fans were booing because, it's a big deal going out there, and it's a big relief for the fighters when it's over and we get to relax and celebrate. So it was sucked having that negative energy afterwards. But in terms of the stoppage, that's a gray area. It's very subjective and highly opinionated. But the only thing I can say is these USMTA guys, they're pretty strict, and they're the only trained professionals in the building. And I got some really clean, heavy shots through on Clow. I hit pretty hard on top, and I had 15 seconds left on the clock. I'm very confident if the ref didn't step in when he did, I could have finished him in the next 15. I would have been happy to do that. Or, if he could have moved and gotten up, maybe, I would have been happy to go to a second round. But the way the rules sit, when you stop moving, when you cover up, shell up, you're no longer intelligently defending. The ref stepped in. I'm always happy to get the win. When I see the ref stopping a fight, I'm not going to complain when it's in my favor, I got the win. I throw down hard. I threw down some heavy shots, and I got the stoppage. That's what I was trying to do.
I personally thought it was a clean stoppage. I thought it was a good stoppage.
Okay,
a lot of people forget it's amateur, and we're not here to destroy someone's noggin. The ref's in there for fighter safety. Now you're a guy who's appeared to be just a whole nother level above his competition. But this fight coming up, everyone keeps saying is your toughest fight coming up. Tell us a little bit about your opponent and what challenges does he present to you?
One of the things I noticed about him is, unlike a lot of the other amateurs, he's very calm, collected. He has a rhythm to his striking that you don't see in a lot of the amateurs. A lot of guys can't control their adrenaline, so they're just chaotic animals. It's like a tornado in the first round. I didn't see that with El Saki. I saw a more collected, a more semi-professional athlete like myself. I respect that. I didn't get to see a whole lot of him, but like you said, I'm a different type of amateur. I'm more semi-professional now. I'm being groomed for a professional career. I've been doing martial arts for a very long time, but just 2 years ago I stepped into the cage as an amateur. So, man, I've only had 5 fights, so I'm just a really seasoned amateur ready to make some noise.
And 5 fights seems to be about the average for a number of amateur fights before someone turns pro. But before we discuss that leap to professional level, tell us a little bit about your background in mixed martial arts. You're saying you've only been fighting for 2 years, but 5 fights in 2 years is a good amount. A lot of people don't even do that in, for 10 years.
Yeah. So my career goes all the way back to first grade at Schoharie High School. I entered my first wrestling tournament. My dad kind of put me into it. So I took a few years off after that, got back into it in about 4th grade. I wrestled for about 7 or 8 years, pretty hard. I was doing summer camps with John Smith in Oklahoma State, the Binghamton Bearcats, Rulon Gardner. I got to meet and train with a lot of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. My dad helped me out and put me into those camps. They weren't easy, and it was a really good experience to help me grow. When I was in high school, when I was in 9th grade, I was about 14. My mother passed away, and
sorry to hear.
Thank you. I stopped wrestling. I just kind of naturally became a little depressed, and wrestling is a very demanding sport. So when I was 15, I stopped wrestling. It was a hard time in my life, and that's when I found out about jiu-jitsu, and I started rolling a little bit. I liked how there was less rules, and I entered my first Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament when I was 15 or 16, and this was a long time ago, so it wasn't super, super popular. There was no gyms around me, so I was just training wherever I could with whoever I could. I met a ton of people. I've trained with a lot of people in the 518. As you know, it's a small MMA community. Another big thing I did was I live out in Schoharie County. It's a very rural area. There's not a lot of gyms, so books and DVDs and internet were always available. I trained a lot at home. I still train a lot at home. I'm always reading. I'm always studying, and that's part of what separates me from a lot of guys. I study this art like you might study a course in college, I'm trying to learn, not just be an animal or a beast. I'm trying to learn, and that's helpful. So after high school, I started doing a little Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I went to Brazil for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
In the Rotary Exchange. Yeah, I lived out there for 3 months. I got into a little bit of trouble before I left. I had to cut my trip a little short. I was supposed to be out there for a full year, but I had to come home to deal with some issues. And when I was out there, I was training 5 days a week, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a few times a week Muay Thai. And when I came home from Brazil, I entered a Muay Thai fight. I didn't have a coach. I wanted to learn how to fight. Throw yourself in there is the quickest way to do it. I fought a dude who was 4-0. His name's Sterling Mosier. He kicked my ass. I was 0-0. He was 4-0. He whooped my ass. But, we went 3 rounds. He had a unanimous decision. And then I learned a lot about fighting in that fight. I did a couple more Muay Thai fights. So I've had 3 Thai fights on top of my 5 MMA fights. And, dozens of wrestling tournaments and some really good camps. That pretty much sums up my whole MMA life background. Nowadays, it's very much so, it's more mixed. A few years ago, I got into Taekwondo to really diversify my skill set, open the hips, become a complete fighter. I'm a brown belt in Taekwondo now. I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been a blue belt for a couple years. Sometimes when you get into MMA, you just take the gi off and you just kind of get off that path of Jiu-Jitsu. But not the smartest thing in the world to do, but that's kind of what I've been doing for the past couple years, just real MMA mindset, a lot of no-gi and strength and conditioning. I don't want to get into too much details about my training, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Definitely. Well, you definitely have a well-rounded background headed into your fight career. Many guys are just either in one sport or have never really done anything and just pick it up and run. So yeah, you definitely are well-rounded headed into it. Now let's talk about
another thing on top of that. The past 10 years, when I was about 10 years old, my dad bought me a weight set, and I just got hooked on bodybuilding and muscle and fitness. I've been lifting, strength, and conditioning for the past decade and a half.
Awesome.
And that helps too, because there's a lot of strong dudes out there.
Yeah, I feel like weights is definitely something that a lot of fighters have gotten away from, being that it makes it harder to cut weight and everything like that. But weights is definitely something a lot of people have gotten away from. Now, heading into this fight, if you win, are you going to be making that leap to the professional level? Do you feel that you're ready to take that leap?
I do feel that I'm ready. You don't want to rush into it. 6 fights is pretty good. I'm comfortable with that. I'm thinking sometime in 2019 would be really nice. I would really like that. If anything, early 2020. But yeah, I plan on closing out this year strong. And nothing's written in stone, but this is probably my last year fighting amateur.
Okay, so maybe one
That's how
more
I
fight
feel.
after this one before the year's over.
Yeah, and then I'll let some of these other welterweights have a shot.
Awesome, awesome. Well, tell us some of your goals and your aspirations for mixed martial arts. Like, how far do you want to go in it? What do you want to do with it, and where do you want to go after your career?
That's a great question. So you hear a lot of fighters talk about mileage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really going to depend on the amount of miles I put on my body, particularly the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I haven't been hit yet. Not in the cage, but in sparring, sometimes I get hit. Sparring hard, But
Mm-hmm.
I try to protect my brain as much as I can. I'll go as long as I can. It's not exactly a young man's sport, but I don't see myself going into my late 30s. I'm thinking young to mid 30s. And again, it depends on the mileage.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the philosophy of hit and don't get hit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I'm not, I don't want to reveal any of my secrets, but I'm not exactly a brawler, I'm a very technical, calculated fighter. I want to destroy my opponent without taking any damage. And I think that's the true essence of martial arts. And even more so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I really believe in the philosophy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely think it's important for, like you're talking about longevity in the sport, to be able to, I personally believe, grapple and submit people. If you could get in there and out of there without taking any damage, all the better. Less wear and tear
Yeah.
on your body. No, speaking of brain damage, and I always, something I've been starting to ask a lot of fighters, because not many talk about, is the CTE. Football, it's big right now. Everyone's talking about it. There's class action lawsuits against the NFL. What is your thought about that? You're saying you don't really want to go deep into your 30s with it. You haven't taken much damage, but a lot of these amateur guys take a ton of damage, and they're not even getting paid yet. And then you're going to your pro career. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we should talk about it a little more because it's real and it's all just coming out now. And fighters take a lot of shots. Like you said, some of these amateurs, if you've ever been backstage, they're coming back all bloody. Even the winners sometimes are looking in rough shape. And like you said, they're just getting started. If they plan on going pro, the guys are only going to hit harder and be faster and more technical. So they're looking at a lot of damage if they don't either tighten up their defense, change their style, or just get out of the sport. A lot of guys, unfortunately, you just have to get out of the sport. Sometimes your health is more important than the glory. But I'm not going to stop anybody from chasing their dreams. If you want to risk it all, they know what they're signing up for. I'm kind of soft when it comes to brain damage. I'll take my health before the glory when it comes to that time.
Most definitely. And tell us a little bit about how Cage Wars kind of different from most promotions in the area. What do they do that kind of elevates themselves from the rest?
It's all their media production, their social media presence, and their promotion in general. The amateurs at Cage Wars of today in 2018, we're getting more coverage than a lot of the pros 5-10 years ago. Amateurs are kind of on the market now. We're kind of on the map, and Cage Wars is kind of launching us out there. There's flyers coming out in the mail. We're all over social media and things like that. Although we're not getting paid cash, we can pick up sponsorships, and it launches guys like me into a pro career. It makes it a little easier. You're already out there before you even go pro. And I feel like I'm riding that wave. It's kind of just starting, and I'm right in there. I'm right on the forefront of this new amateur wave. MMA is growing in popularity, and we're kind of all just riding that wave right now. I'm happy to be on that wave.
Awesome. And your opponent's kind of more of a downstate guy. There's always that rivalry from the downstate, from upstate. Everyone's saying who's better, who's got the better athletes. Is it important to you to get a finish against him to kind of prove in the naysayers from downstate?
He's from New York City?
I believe so, yes.
I'll be honest with you, it doesn't mean anything to me. Not any more than the last 5 guys. It is important to me to get that finish, because if I can finish him, I'm safe. The fight's over. I'm the champ. I'm always looking to finish guys. guys are tough though. You can't finish everybody in round one.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel Isaiah's a tough guy, but I feel a lot of guys getting here are tough. So we're gonna find out in round 1 and 2. I've never been to the third round. I've only been to the second round one time.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't plan on going to the scorecards. I've seen guys robbed, and I'm just trying to finish them. Yeah, it's important for me to finish them.
Awesome. Before we start wrapping it up, how can people find you on social media to follow your career?
Right now, guys, I'm only on Facebook. My name's Jake Davis, if you don't know it already. I'm being told I should diversify, get on that Instagram at least, maybe a little Twitter action. I'm starting to fold to the pressure, maybe. Probably going to get on Instagram soon. But, another thing to add to my fight with Isaiah, it's important for me to finish him, but if I have to stack up points and defeat him in a 3-round war, I'm prepared to do that as well, Mike.
Awesome.
I'm ready to do anything.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for this fight. Guys watching, definitely check September 15th. Get tickets. Go to CageWarsNY.com. Come watch Jake Davis fight in the title for welterweight, defending his belt. So be there. If you can't be there, the fights will be streamed on Fight TV. Go to the app. Go online. Check it out. Myself and Will Barry will be commentating the fights. So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. September 15th. Fights start at 7 p.m. at Rivers Resort and Casino in Schenectady, New York. Jake Davis, before you let you go, what's one thing about you that nobody knows but you'd like to share with everyone?
Oh, man, I knew you were coming out with a hard question. Nobody knows. I'm kind of transparent. The shit that nobody knows, I don't want to share with anyone. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate taking the time to hop on. Ladies and gentlemen, my sponsor for Carroll's Corner MMA podcast is Pure Spectrum CBD. Go to the website. There's a link in the description. 10% off. Use my code CCMMA for 10% off all your CBD products. All right, Jake Davis, once again, good luck on September 15th, and thanks for joining.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. I'll see you there, brother.
Have a good